A lot of people have shared and expressed that they want to make one or have been thinking of making one and have shared a misconceived, they've shared thoughts that they can't make it because they're not crafty enough or they might mess up. Honestly, it does take a little bit of measuring, a little bit of meticulous eye, and also you have to be careful because leather is not cheap, so you don't want to mess up. So I totally understand. But if you do want to try making it on your own, I'm going to do a very simple, quick tutorial. So again, it's cut, 2 size. How did I measure exactly what size to cut this? I took some journals. Let's say I want to have these 3 inside. This is the A6 size of notebook. I took these, stacked them onto the leather before this leather was cut, and then I folded a little bit for the trifold, and then I folded the rest to see that. So this measurement is approximate. This flap could be longer, could be shorter. The trifold flap could be longer. It shouldn't really be shorter. So you can approximate like exact you can see how long you want the flaps to be and then approximate it and then unflap it, and then that will be your measurement for the length. In terms of the height, it should be the height of your notebook plus a little margin on the top and the bottom. I just eyeballed just a little bit. So once your leather is cut like this, you have to measure where you're going to punch your grommets. Now, this part might feel like the hardest part if you are not good at calculating or measuring, but I will try to explain to you. So when you have your stack of notebooks and you put them down and you see where you want your flaps to go, there will be a place where the spine is laying on the leather. You can take a pencil or like a crayon or something and then do a little mark, and that's where your spine hole should go. So if I hold it up like this, that section of the leather is where the holes for the grommet should be punched. I actually made a little legend. I used this gridded paper that I had so I knew that it was straight, and put some lines with my ruler, put some tiny little dots, and that is where I'm punching the hole. Also, there are people who have done tutorials for this who've given you exactly the measurements for the grid / map. I didn't measure it exactly to anything. I have this little tool, awl. This might be an awl. And then I use that to put the holes in to mark them. You could mark them with an awl or you can mark them with a pen or pencil. I have the tiny little holes now. And then the next thing you do is make the holes with this tool called a stick hole puncher. I don't know what it's called. And then you have a mallet. This is a nylon mallet. And then you line that up. And then it makes holes for you. I will do that now silently. Once you have completed hammering, this is the loud part, you will have holes. The next step is taking your grommets, which usually have this base. This base holds the grommet in place. Base holds the grommet in place. And then you take this, which is the little finger thing that keeps it in place. I'll show you. Take the grommet. I will be using silver. Lay it into the base holder, and then you will poke your pre-punched hole into that. And then you take that thing and put it into here. I wonder, it's under there, and then kind of difficult to show you like this. Ah! And then another loud part, and it's in. And the last one. Okay, so all the grommets are in. There have been a couple of notebooks where I freestyled the hole punching from the beginning, didn't make this map, didn't measure it, and then they got a little bit wonky. So if you measure it, they are nice and straight. After you're done doing that, you make a choice. Would you like 90-degree angles for the corners, or would you like them to be rounded? If you don't have a tool to round it, I've seen some people freehand cut a round corner. That sounds so scary to me, but I do have this rounding tool. It looks like this. It's a little L shape, and then you put that at the corner of your leather, and then you use the same hammer to punch cut. Next, you may take a piece of sandpaper and use this to sand the edges. When I cut these corners at the beginning to cut the piece of leather to size, I used a metal ruler and this utility knife. I am very good at using a ruler and a knife to cut things because I have cut so much paper and material with these tools in the past on various projects, so I feel very comfortable doing it. If you don't feel comfortable, because it is dangerous to use a knife and a ruler, and if you do it the wrong way or your knife's a little bit dull, it's very unsafe. I have cut myself in the past. So if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can totally use scissors to cut it after you draw the line. And then that's where sanding it can come in handy, and you can kind of smooth out any imperfections if you couldn't cut it in one piece, which usually you have to like chop the scissor a couple times. So use whatever tools you have or are comfortable with. Obviously, some of these tools are pretty specific, like the grommets. There's certain things that you do need to be able to make it in this way, but this is not the only way that it can exist. You could just punch holes and not have a metal or grommet hardware and just string your elastic cord through holes. So you don't need to have every single part of this for you to make this function of a journal. So here are our rounded corners. And we're actually very close to being done. For the elastic cording, I got this really nice red. I just like red. So I'm going to use this for the closure, but I'm actually not sure if this is going to fit. It looks a little bit thick. So let's see. Uh-oh. That was really hard, but I finally got it. This elastic is too thick for this grommet size, but I poked it in. So what you want to do is put your cording into the two grommets on the spine, and then you want to tie this. I don't know what this type of knot is called, but it's the knot where you take both the ends and loop them around together. Once you're done doing the elastic for the closure, you'll add in your elastic for holding the books. I don't have a thin enough red, so I'm just using black, but for me personally, ideally, I think it'd look nice with the same color thread. So you loop this through to create an inside elastic holder for the notebook pages. To keep these elastics from unraveling, I like to cut them pretty short and then burn the edges of the string and burn the edges. The last and optional thing, again, it's just another material and another tool that you would have to get, is burnishing your edges. The raw edge is fine, it will just wear and it will just do its thing. However, if you did want to burnish your edges, there's burnishing edge gum and burnishing tools. This is a wooden one. You put that gum onto the edges and then do this burnishing. But I'm not going to do that right now. Once you're done putting the elastic cording in, you're almost done. So what you can do is take your notebooks and find the middle-ish, and then you can use these elastics to thread them in. And how it works is you find the middle, take the elastic like this, and use it to secure the notebook into the leather cover. Having 2 rows of grommets gives you 4 elastics, so that gives you 4 notebooks to put in. So once you have that in there, it looks like this. Pop over your trifold, put your flap over that, and then your closure. This is what the finished leather notebook looks like. You have the spine here with the grommets for the elastic cording holding the notebooks in, and then 2 grommets here for your closure. And then you open the closure, front cover, trifold, protective cover, and then your notebooks are inside. This is a little bit of a thicker leather. It will relax with use and with touch and opening it, closing it, all of that. But right now it is a little bit rigid, and these books are pretty full inside. You still have a lot of room to add more if you wanted to add an insert for pockets, if you wanted to add a pen, whatever else you wanted to put inside there. But this is kind of what it looks like when it starts with 3 notebooks. You can start with 1, 2, 3, however many, and that's done. So I have these 2 that are ready to mail out as part of my giveaway now. I don't want to say, oh look, it's so easy, I just did that. I know that it takes a lot of materials and a lot of tools, and not everybody has the same setup or access to these tools. I had a lot of these from previous projects that I've worked on, and I did invest more into buying other material and tools to make these notebooks. However, if you have some variants or some version of these tools, you don't even need all of them. I do think it is possible to DIY your own version of this leather notebook. So if you are on the verge of trying and you have everything and you just need some encouragement, I do encourage you to make your own. It is possible to DIY this otherwise very costly thing to purchase. So I hope that you can find some encouragement. If you have any questions or want any clarification of anything I explained today, please drop it in the comments. Otherwise, as mentioned, there are so many creators who have done very in-depth and very specific overview of how to make these. So definitely go find other resources as well. But that is how I do it. That is what I do. And this is what it makes. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being curious, interested in how to make these, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon, and bye.